I'd like to start this video off with a poem. Reading is cool. Reading is fun. If you like reading, you're number one in my book. Thank you. And you guys do not need to let me know in the comments. I will be writing a book of poetry. I know it was good. I know it was good. I know it was phenomenal. Anyway, shall we get started? Hello hotties, or nerds, or booktube, or all of the above, whatever you want to call yourself. Welcome back to my channel. Briana is going places. I am still Briana. Sometimes I'm going places, sometimes I'm reading books, sometimes I'm talking about my goals. Whatever you're here for, hopefully you're here for the book stuff, because I'm talking about my 2021 Goodreads challenge. Not to brag on myself or anything, but I blew my challenge out of the water this year. My goal was 35 books, and I think so far this year I've read 52. I will show you right here how much I've actually read. But I wanted to do a recap of all the books that I read, not all the books that I read, but my favorite books that I've read this year, and think about what books that I definitely want to get on my list for next year. First of all, let me know in the comments, did you do a Goodreads challenge? Have you ever heard of these Goodreads challenges? They're pretty popular if you're on Goodreads, but if you're not on Goodreads or if you don't like to read, you probably have never heard of it. Basically, each year you put the number of books that you want to read, and that's it. You log it throughout the year and see whether or not you make your goal. I have done this challenge, I think, since 2018 or 2017, and I have never met my goal. And each year, even though I don't meet my goal, I just make my goal higher, which doesn't actually make sense, but it's kind of how my mind operates. This year, though, I made it higher, and then I actually crushed it, so I'm super excited. I'm going to be telling you my favorite books, with some different categories that I've decided on that I want to talk about, and I'm going to tell you my top 5, actually my top 6 books that I really loved in 2021. So without further ado, let's get started with category number 1, Best Leading Lady. Drum roll please. We have a tie. Nina Hill from The Bookish Life of Nina Hill and Liz from Undercover Romance. I like these ladies for 2 totally different reasons. Nina Hill was kind of the exact opposite of me, very introverted, kind of bumbling around, didn't really know what she wanted. Well, okay, that's not the opposite of me. But one thing that we really connected on, and yes, I am connecting with a fictional character, is that we both love to plan. She would talk about her planners and the list that she made with them, and my heart just leapt out to her. So I was rooting for her the whole time, hoping that everything that she ever wanted would come to fruition. On the other hand, we have Liz from Undercover Romance, and she was a very strong leading lady. Her whole storyline, besides, falling in love, the B story was her taking down one of her old bosses who was problematic. And you know what? We love to see it, even in the fictional world. So both of these books, all the books I'm going to be talking about today, 5 stars on my rating scale, which honestly, it's just if I loved it, I'm going to give you 5 stars. I'm not very picky, but I am kind of picky. Not every book gets 5 stars. These ones, love them. Our next category following Best Leading Lady is Best Leading Man. And that goes to Wesley Kohler from Twice Shy. First of all, this book, beautiful trope of rough man, rough, sad, grumpy man, and sunshiny woman meet, and sparks fly, but none of them want to admit it. Well done. Wesley is so cute and so shy and such a man. I love him so much, and if anybody out there is looking to be would read again. And I don't like to reread books because there are so many books in the world, but I just love these two characters, especially Wesley, and I love how the story unfolded. It was pretty slow burn, and it was wonderful in every way. Our next category is Best Series. I think that this series is what helped me read so many books this year because I kept wanting to read the next book in the series. So this goes out to Sweet Magnolias. That name might sound familiar if you have a Netflix subscription. There was a show of the same name based on these books. I didn't know it was a book at first, so I watched the series, and that is kind of against my book code. I like to read the book before I watch the TV show or the movie because I know the book is going to be better, so I want to see what they do wrong. But I really liked the series when I watched it, and I was like, hey, it's a book, so I'm going to go ahead and read it. And it was great. The first 3 books in the series is kind of what the first season of Sweet Magnolias covers, but there are so many, there's 11 books total, so there's so many more characters that she explores and so many more people to meet. These are pretty formulaic, I would say, but that's exactly what I like when I'm reading these romance novels. I like seeing how they do the tropes slightly differently. So, best series, Sweet Magnolias. They are kind of on long holds at different libraries, but I think they're worth it. And they're fast, easy reads. I probably read, once I got a hold of the book, I could probably read it in a day. Because they're just, scrumptious. Another book that I accidentally watched instead of reading first, because I didn't realize it was a book, is the winner of my next category, Best YA Novel. So I don't read a lot of young adult novels. I don't know why. They're pretty great, but I just gravitate towards other books. But Dumplin' was so good. When I watched the movie, I loved it. And when I read the book, I loved it even more. I didn't know it was also part of a series. There's Dumplin', Puddin', and Pumpkin. And all of them are spectacular. Dumplin', I think, is my favorite, then Pumpkin, which is the third, and then Puddin', which is in the middle. All of them great books, juicy, easy to read, and it's so fun just reading about teens and growing up and adolescence. That phase of life, it's hard for me to remember, even though it wasn't that long ago. But it's so fun to just read about teenagers navigating everything that can happen, especially with characters like these. All 3 of the main characters were fat, and I think that we don't get to read a lot about characters that are against, the grain. Even though there's plenty of fat people in the world, there's plenty of gay people in the world, there's black people in the world, there's plenty of women and people of color and people with autism, and all of these characters don't really get written about a lot. So it's so nice when you get to read a book that talks about other people. You know what I'm saying? Our next category is Spiciest Book, and this one goes out to The Heart Principle by Helen Hong. I love all of her books. She is just such a fun writer. The characters you fall in love with or lust with, and I just love them. So the first one in the series is The Heart Quotient, then The Bride Test, and then The Heart Principle. I might have gotten that out of order, but The Heart Principle, she says, is her most autobiographical novel, and I think that is really cool to be able to read her perspective. In these books, all the main characters have autism, and she talks about her experience finding out that she had autism later in life. A lot of times women aren't diagnosed until later in life because women kind of know how to blend into society more. It's kind of just what's expected. So a lot of women with autism go undiagnosed for a long time. So it's so cool to read about her and that experience. The character, it's not 100% an autobiography, and it's so good to read about the romance and the crazy things that happen. So, Spiciest Novel, The Heart Principle by Helen Hong. So those are the categories that I wanted to share. Now I'm just gonna go through and tell you my top 6, because I didn't want to choose just 5. My top 6 favorite books of 2021. Technically, I wanted to do a lot more, but that's why I made categories and then this top 6. Sneaky. My first book is Anxious People by Friedrich Backman. This is my first book by him, and I see why people are obsessed with him. I 100% get it. Anxious People was so good. There are so many parts in the book that I was like, oh my god, this could be the end, and I don't want it to end. And then it didn't, and I was like, thank you for not ending the book just yet. It was wonderful. It wasn't my typical like rom-com type book. It was kind of like a little bit of a mystery, kind of like a little bit of a character study. It was so good, and I can't wait to read more books by him. Definitely check this one out. Number 2. Your Money or Your Life. This was the first book that I finished this year. I really like talking about money, thinking about money and personal finance and how I can make my money work better for me. And this book was one that was on my list for a long time. It's like one of the seminal personal finance books, and I see why. It's so easy to read, just like easy to understand, but really talks about concepts that are so important when talking about your money. Knowing your money, having a plan for your money, and helping your money grow. My third book that I really enjoyed this year was Love and Color by Bolu Babalola. This is another book that wasn't my typical type of story that I would read. It's actually a collection of short stories, and I think people call it an anthology, but she takes different stories from throughout the world and kind of modernizes them and retells them, and it was done so well. You can tell that she takes care with these stories, and they just get better and better as you read. Fourth book that I really loved this year was The Body Is Not an Apology. This book hits so hard. It was another book club read. It's nonfiction, and the crux of the novel is radical self-love, both for you and for other people. It really kind of makes you confront a lot of the biases that you have in your life, not just about you, but about the people around you and how you look at people. And my friends and I found ourselves like getting ready to talk about people or about our own selves, and kind of reminding us that mantra, the body is not an apology. This body that you're in is your body, and you need to love it and respect it. And it's not always easy to do that in this world where we are inundated with images that for most of us don't look like us. Either super thin people or super tall people, or whatever the beauty standard is at the time. Radical self-love means that we're going to love ourselves and our body, because it does, like, this is our body, it's our only one. And that book, I still am thinking through and processing the different things that I've learned by reading it, and it's going to be a lifelong journey. Loving yourself is a lifelong journey, but it's good to have guides. And this book is one of those guides that you just keep and you refer back to, and you remind yourself over and over every day, the body is not an apology. This thing that I'm in is beautiful and is worthy of love and all the good things in the world. Fifth book that I really enjoyed this year is Aisha at Last. This is a modern day retelling of Pride and Prejudice. I love a retelling. Usually they can be mediocre at times, they can be average, they can be really, really good. I really enjoyed this one because the characters in it were Muslim, and I kind of like reading about, like I've said before, lots of different types of people doing lots of different types of things. So Pride and Prejudice is just, to me, a classic, wonderful, and reading it, modern day retelling again, it was a good one. I would pick it up again. Of course, 5 stars. All of these are 5 stars. So check that one out, and I can't wait to read another book by her because she needs to come up with something real quick. Finally, Take a Hint, Dani Brown. This is the second book in the Brown Sisters trilogy, and another trope, bodyguard falling for your bodyguard friend, blah blah blah. And it was great. It was so cute. I really like Dani Brown as a character. I'm pretty sure she's the middle child in the sisters, and I'm also a middle child. So I feel like I related a lot to her in a lot of ways. But she was definitely cooler than me. She almost got my leading lady nom, but then I just decided to put the whole book in here because it's so fun. All three of those books are so fun. Also a little bit spicy, so watch your back. But I really enjoyed it, and I can't wait for Talia Hibbert to come out with more books because I'm pretty sure I'm done with the trilogy, so what's not clicking? We need more. We need more. So there you have it, my friends. Those are my top books of 2021. I'm trying to plan out my 2022 Goodreads challenge. I think next year I'm going to aim for 52 books. That's one a week. I proved to myself that I can read a lot, and I really enjoy reading a lot. I think my work-life balance and my quality of life just improves when I'm reading more. So let me know any books that you think that I need to read, like add to my list for next year. But also, I think I'm going to read at least 3 or 4 more books before the year is over. So let me know things that I need to read before 2021 is over, maybe something that'll help me plan a better 2022. I am thinking about reading Untamed, but I'm thinking also about leaving that for next year. Let me know. Just let me know what you think. Oh, Briana, read this book before the year is over. You got to read it in the comments. Also, thank you so much for sticking around this long. Go ahead and like my video. Comment. Tell me anything that you want about books. Tell me your favorite book of the year. That would be great. Tell me if you met your Goodreads challenge. Tell me if you want to be friends on Goodreads. I will put my link in the description. Let me know what's going on, ladies and gentlemen, and anybody who is watching my video right now. Thank you so much for watching. I am so glad that you tuned in, and I will see you at my next video, okay? Alrighty. Have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time. Bye. Our next category is best. Oops. Let me put that back up.